Hey guys, today we're opening up with Game 9 of the World Chess Championship. We've got Magnus Carlsen playing the black pieces and Jan Nemanjić on the white pieces here. Alright, so let's get started. We see Jan open up with his c-pawn to c4. Let's see what happens here. Magnus plays his king-pawn out 1 to e6, and we see Jan's development here. We're going to go for a Catalan here as the g-pawn moves out 1. Magnus is going to play his pawn, his queen pawn out. The bishop is going to come out for the Catalan, and we see the first deviation here with Magnus playing his queen pawn out in next to Jan's white. So this kind of becomes a bit more of a neo-Catalan, but this is like super unheard of, not really played. If you were not Magnus Carlsen and you made this move, people would say, what the fuck? What are you doing? But because it's the World Chess Championship, it's okay. Now we're going to see the rest of the development for this Catalan, for Jan, and we're going to see another deviation, putting his knight in front of his c-pawn here. Another kind of what the hell moment are you doing? And we're going to just play it out here because Magnus always does some stupid shit like this. Castles, keeping a principled Catalan, and we see the bishop come out to the c-file. Now, a little decorative piece here. We got bishop, pawn, knight, bishop, pawn. Why are almost all of black's power pieces just sitting in a line? Who knows? But we're going to see how it goes. All right. So we see the queen pawn come out to kind of support the center here, build it out a bit more. Knight comes out, focusing on development here, and we're going to go ahead and skip ahead. Now we see Magnus move his a pawn out a bit here, prepping for this knight to come out, trying to make sure his bishop is covered, and also preventing any potential queenside attacks. Now this bishop is going to move back, and we're going to see more center development. Magnus is going to break through the center with his pawn. Bishop comes out to play, and now we're going to see a lot of contention for these dark squares here. Now that's why we have the knight come around. Magnus is going to try and swap his knight for this dark squared bishop, because this dark squared bishop is very powerful where it is right now. And obviously, Jan is not going to let that happen. He's going to try and exchange both of the dark squared bishops, so that way he can keep this kind of control of the center, and all he has to contend with is this knight, and this knight can be easily removed with a quick pawn move, or bishop to h3. Now, we're going to see Magnus continue to develop, let Jan come to him, rather than let Jan take the initiative in kind of developing his center a bit more. So Magnus is going to castle, and make sure that he can keep that kind of initiative. Now Jan is going to prep here for a little bit of queenside debauchery. He's going to move his center pawn out to make sure his bishop is covered, so that way he can later play his knight to this square once the bishop is gone. So we see Magnus is going to try and kick out this knight. We see the exchange happen here, and knight comes out, so that way it kind of keeps this queen locked away, and a little bit more control of the center here for Jan. Now we're going to go ahead a couple moves. Now, here we're going to see Jan is trying to make sure he keeps his center with his queen here. Pawn covering knight, a good center pawn structure here. And this knight is ready to move out whenever it goes. It can't move here now because of Magnus's preemptive move of pawn to h6. We're going to see a bit more development on the king side. Some slow moving with the bishop here, the knight moving out, and the queen kind of coming around to try and make sure that it can maintain the center. And coming through here, we see some exchanges of pieces, a check with a queen swap here, and here we see the development of some very fatal play here. Now we see Jan bring his bishop out, and we're going to see a blunder. Now this is completely changing the game here. This bishop will never be able to make it out now because Magnus is going to play pawn here, and now this bishop has nowhere to go. It is locked in there forever. So, trying to make some desperate pawn moves, kicking out this knight, moving the rook to try and exchange rooks. Not going to happen. Magnus plays it back. This bishop is locked in. He's going to try and play the rook to cover the bishop. Second rook, completely stopped. Going to try and exchange the rooks here. Get a bit more pawn structure going. Still not going to be enough. We're going to see him try and push this pawn, try and get it to the end of the board to get his queen back. But that's a desperate vie against Magnus. And we're going to see it's not going to work out here for you. And this is where Jan resigns the game to Magnus Carlsen, bringing the score to this point to, I believe it was 2.5 points for Jan, and now it is Magnus's championship to win. Jan, what were you doing?